A very warm welcome to another episode of Momentum Meets, a podcast hosted by me, Alistair Boddy, Business Development Director here at Momentum Broker Solutions. Today, in person, I'm joined by Martin Castleton of Aureum Insurance, who are now 1 year into a journey as an independent brokerage here in Milton Keynes. This conversation is all about progress. We'll look at what the first year has delivered, what evolved along the way, and how their outlook for the future is sharpened. If you're building your own brokerage, thinking about the next chapter in your career, or just simply curious about how modern brokerages grow with purpose and the real reality of taking that leap, this episode is no doubt going to offer plenty of insight for those doing it firsthand. So without further ado, welcome Martin. Thanks for joining us.
Hi Esther, thanks for catching up a year later after our first Momentum Meets.
It's been a hell of a year. So let's talk about that first year. Besides a bit of a whirlwind, I'm sure. How's it been?
It's been good. It's been really enjoyable. I think it's one of the key things I wanted to do is bring a little bit more enjoyment back to insurance broking, and it's been fun. You know, new business is still fun. It's hard. There's no easy way of doing it, and it's taken a lot of graft. But it's been good fun. It's been rewarding. I'm really pleased where we are.
I mean, when you cast your mind back to day one, I'm probably not even day one before we even started, when we're having the conversation and that local establishment talking about what the future may hold. Does it feel harder or easier than you expected?
A bit of both, to be honest. There's things I've found harder. I always thought I could do the basic in terms of winning new business.
Yeah.
I've done it 4 times before. In an employed role, I thought that's not going to change. And that hasn't really changed. If anything, that's still the same, still consistent. The harder parts are everything else that goes with it. You know, there's much more responsibilities in banking, in marketing, social medias that you don't have the exposure to.
Yeah.
You're just focusing on being an insurance broker. So there's other things, but that's in a way a good thing. It's expanded my skill base and learned different things.
No, excellent. I mean, if you go back to, a lot of people sort of panic or a little bit have that fear about when you haven't got that big corporate badge above the door, that new business is going to become even harder. I mean, is that the reality, or is it very, very different?
Do you know what? I think I wouldn't say it's easy, it's the wrong word, but I think the belief that the big badge carries sway with clients, I think is wrong. The clients trust you, and the person is more valuable than the badge on the door. I'm not aware of any client that's ever made a decision based on the badge. And I think that's more prevalent now than ever, that they want the service, they want the relationship, they want that local presence. As long as you can deliver that, I don't think anyone's ever going to question the badge. And
to be fair, you're talking about clients from, small liability policy, standalone painters and decorators, right through to, how big's your largest client now that you've...
So the largest client now is 20 million turnover.
Yeah.
We're just in the process of tendering for an even bigger client, which we look at 50 million turnover. I've been involved in tenders of bigger clients that I decided wasn't right for me.
Yep.
I thought there's obviously a lot of work in tendering big clients, and I don't want to go down that road where you're involved in those processes with large clients.
Yep.
And that's a choice that I've made that I don't want to do.
So your largest premium spend is what, if you don't mind me?
80,000. 80.
Can you see yourself securing stuff over 6 figures pretty easy?
Yeah, so I think the core world is kind of, for me, 150 grand is probably your cut off where you're starting attracting Marsh Aons of the world.
Yep.
It's going to be a hard fee. It's going to be a different process. I think the early 100,000s are still very similar to the 30, 40,000s. It's once you start going over that threshold that things start changing.
And you talked about the hard bits like running a business, accounts, finance. Now, you've never run a business before, have you?
No.
No, and obviously you throw yourself in the deep end. Is it hard, or is it just more of just learning more and learning some new skills?
Yeah, I think it's hard knowing I'd say it's hard more internally. There is no one that I can get to do it. Where in an employed role, there's always someone in marketing, they're in IT. Yep. Sorting out your landline, sorting out your laptop, all of those things it's on you. Once you accept that fact, that you don't have anyone, you can deal with it and you learn it. And now I've just renegotiated the IT contract. I've understood a little bit more about how to build my laptop for what I need. Skills I would have never been involved in before. So you've got to look at it as a positive, but it's on you.
Oh, next time I need IT support, I'll bring my laptop in. That sounds good.
Just pay someone to do it for me.
realistically, you talk about some of the difficulties, and we started the conversation not necessarily a bit negatively, but I suppose a little bit more real about the facts of starting a business. But what do you think was the biggest reality check for you in that first 12 months?
I think that was it. It's on you to understand and accept that fact that it is on you.
So what do you mean by that? Like, you've worked in an office, I suppose, and you've got a difficult situation and you're thinking to yourself, who do I talk to about this?
Exactly that. So you're used to that comfort around, I'm not feeling great, I'll work from home. If I don't turn my computer on, it doesn't really matter. You got to get that mindset that that's gone. It's on you. Business is never going to land on your lap without you putting the work in. In a big broker, they may get people calling in, but reality is that's very, very rare that happens. So you have to almost pull yourself to go to these networking events in an evening, do things when you're not feeling on your top of your A game. You still got to, and I say when you accept that and you're okay with it, then it becomes less of a challenge.
And look, fast forward here, as you said, past 12 months, everyone has a business plan. Mm-hmm. I remember reading yours back in the day, but have you revisited yours since, and have you missed goals? Have you moved goals? Or
business year one was always pure new business. Let's establish in Milton Keynes. I still believe local brokers have a massive sway in the local business community. That's proven. We're a member of a number of networking groups. We attend a lot of events in Milton Keynes. Core client bases in Milton Keynes. That's still the same. That's not going to change. The other part of the business is the property and construction world, which is linked to the sister company of Aureum Finance. That's national. So, we've been far and wide on that. I've got clients far and wide on that. That's still very much, it's a challenging market because there's a lot of other factors in property development, but that's still going very well. So the core business plan hasn't changed.
Good, yeah.
And I don't think it will change because I think that will always be the key areas of growth, local and industry-specific expertise.
And aligning yourself with Aureum Finance, some people might say, well, there's the leg up, there's the ability for you to get a huge volume of leads to get you through that sort of first 12-month covenant period. But what's the reality being like? How much of your business is actually through the sister company versus self-generated?
It's very small in terms of income. It's great because one of the areas that I didn't have any experience was obviously branding, company look, and etc. So we have literally copied the Aureum brand. It's been 9 years established. That was a no-brainer for me to do that. In terms of pure income, there's a lot of synergy in terms of events, lunches, clients. There's a lot of that's already in place. But the actual clients that it produces, some of them are really challenging and they're really small premium, but challenging to place.
Yeah.
Which comes with its challenges because obviously you want to support them to get the finance deal over the line. You don't want the insurance to be the reason it doesn't go over the line. So it comes with other challenges, believe me, it's not a straightforward process.
Is there anything you've looked back on now and said, I wish I hadn't worried about that so much?
Lots, I guess. I mean,
so what? Yeah.
The panic is there that you say day one, it's on you, right? So as long as you've taken off the obvious money question, you've got to pay your bills, they don't stop, regardless of what you want to do in life. Make sure that's robust. Financial planning is robust. Trust yourself that, what the badge over the door isn't that big a deal. Clients will always deal with people. And I think they're the two biggest worries I think people have. Obviously, you guys are momentum, access to market. You can't trade unless you got access to market. That hasn't been a worry at all. I think my conversion as of right now is about 60%, which is fantastic.
For pure new business.
Pure new business is 59%. So you get the deals done, the support's there, the finance model is still there. So yes, they're all scary topics, but reality is you didn't need to worry about them because they've all been taken care of.
And look, we caught up recently at the conference and we talked about, any domestics of yet, but there's none of that's happened to date. But you went into this with Dean, and as I said to you earlier, we couldn't not mention Dean in this and probably get a little dig in where we can. But how's that relationship working 12 months on?
I say the relationship is very similar to how it was before. Dean's been in finance for a very long time, a successful business. He's useful to tap into, knowledge base. He doesn't know insurance, so he's happy to be involved. He's come to your conference. He will come every year because he really wants to understand and meet other ARs to understand that model as well. Reality is we see each other. If we see each other once a week, it's quite a lot. Probably twice a month we see each other, and that's purely walking in the office and walking out of the office. So, but we do try and set monthly meetings, just really to catch up, see where we are.
And do you know what, Dean, the way he's integrated with this business is, I have to say, first class, because we see quite often business partners going into a business where one's come from a different industry. And I probably had more catch-ups one-to-one with Dean than I have with you. To be fair, we're talking around different ways which we can support his business at the same time as obviously supporting yours. Really disappointed to hear there's no domestics as yet. But how do you deal with those differing views when the time comes when you're thinking, hang on a second, we might want to look at this a bit different?
I think we will in the future as we look at growth. Staff models. There's different models in insurance than there is to finance. There's different expectations in both roles. So I think we will have challenges over the future growth plans.
Yep.
But that's where we can share each other's industry as to what works in finance won't work in insurance and vice versa. So I think he trusts me that I understand insurance, I trust him he understands finance, and there will be questions he asks that are interesting questions, and you think, well, why doesn't it work in insurance? And there may be a legitimate FCA is a bigger problem.
Yeah.
There might be a genuine reason why it just will never work in insurance, but he doesn't know that.
Was there a point when you thought, actually, this is working, this is going to be a success? Or were you always in that mindset from day one, it won't be a problem?
I think the first kind of 3 months was you're out a lot. So you're going to meet people, and then you convert that into income. And then when you start seeing, actually, this job is the same as what I was doing, but now I can see the income landing in my bank. This is the end of the day, I can see the bank, I can see how much is in there. That's a different shift. And all of a sudden, when you are feeling like, oh, do I really want to go out tonight? That's what keeps you going, because you can see the benefits. And then I thought, well, I know I can win clients. Now I'm seeing those clients generate income. It just gives you that boost to keep dragging yourself to go to things when you're not feeling up to it.
You talked about the badge, or we both talked about that earlier, and the badge above the door and how important or unimportant that is. And the feeling is that it's all about you, Martin. It's about the individuals and the relationships you create. Thinking more broadly here and thinking about it from the point of being independent, you're an independent community broker based here in Milton Keynes. How has that shaped your ability to manage your client relationships?
I think it's the core, it's the fundamental, personally, that I believe that insurance brokers will always be that community broker in the local business community.
But don't want to cut across you, but weren't that what you were before?
The politest possible way, it can be further from the truth.
That's how you position yourself potentially, without being, I suppose, insincere about the way that you deal with your clients.
Yeah, I think with the companies, and again, I won't mention them by names, but the fact that you have an office in a local community doesn't mean you're a community broker. When you're sponsoring national events, does not make you a community broker. Just because you have 50 staff in a town that never go to an event does not make you a community broker. You can call yourself that because you're based in that community and you've got 100 offices up and down the country. To me, that doesn't make you a community broker. There's a number of organisations in Milton Keynes where they go to every single event in Milton Keynes. My last employers, I cannot remember any events other than the ones I went to that anyone went to. That's the reality.
Yeah, so you've effectively built a business that embraces it, as opposed to being an individual.
Exactly.
That's embracing
exactly
the community feel.
Yeah.
And look, I suppose one of the things which really evidences that is, Aureum Insurance sponsors a local football team, which is great to see you putting your, putting your money where your mouth is, isn't it? And that's probably not the only sponsorship you do, is it?
No, I think that's one of the massive refreshing things, is that freedom to be able to choose what you support and what you don't support. The local community is part of that. Sports teams, charities. I'm trying to work with local charities in Milton Keynes where we can do something for them other than just do their insurance.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make it that, if we're having an event, why do we not hold it at a client's premises where they can benefit? If I need a supplier, why not use a client that can be my supplier? So you're really building on that reciprocal business that the large brokers cannot do, because they will have a central supplier that decides, well, we're sponsoring this, so you can't sponsor your local football team. And that's just the way it is. And pros and cons to that, I guess. But yeah, if a local football team comes to me, and that particular team is the one I coach, by the way, so it's nice to
that's handy.
to sponsor my own team. But we did some Bletchley Rugby Club. We sponsored them as well. We've got connections with the team at Bletchley Rugby Club. So we will do more of that for the right community where there's a connection, personal connection.
I suppose looking now, the business and the evolution of the business, because a business plan shouldn't be a static document. It should be living, breathing, and obviously continue to be evolved. And I'm sure that's exactly what you do. But thinking about where you are now, have there been moments when you've surprised yourself when you're thinking, oh my God, I just did that? Or I can't believe I've learned all these new skills. Maybe it was a reflection piece, when you're thinking back.
It does feel, although we're month 15, it's been a long established business. It feels much more established than it is. Reality is, the networks are part of our long-standing network. A lot of my clients that I'm with are long-standing clients. The people have known me for a long time, so it does feel probably more established than it is. Next stage is how do we grow on that? I do want to do more locally. It's a big push. Startup businesses. How do we get more involved in startups and supporting businesses at the early stage? So there's still a lot of other things I want to do, but yeah, just the bit that surprised me is how the job hasn't really changed in terms of the day to day.
Yeah,
it's now how do I take that into the next level?
Do you think, this is a tough question, I suppose, do you think the reality of running your own business is more about a mindset than anything special?
I think there's two kinds of ways of looking at it in insurance. And I've got a number of clients where they run a business but don't have any clue how to do what the business does, if that makes sense. They're very good business people, but they will have like a roofing company, but they've never been roofing. They will have a medical company, but they have no idea what the products are. They understand the concept of business. I think with insurance, it's always critical that the main man is an insurance broker. The main lawyer, the main partner of a law firm is a lawyer. And I think that carries a lot of weight, that you want to be what your business is, if you know what I mean. And it comes with its own challenges, because I never want to stop doing the work. And you say when you run a business, you have many other hats, but you should never lose the core part of your insurance broker is you.
Yep.
And you do HR and you do everything else, but never lose that.
I mean, fast forward to where we are today, you're about to take your first employee on, which is a massive step for a startup. Talk me through that.
It was a gamble, big risk, but a calculated risk. So the guy that's joined us next week, I've known him for 10 years. He's worked for me for 10 years. And he brings a lot of the skills I know I struggle with. And that was my first choice of what do I need? I don't want an investment hire that comes with risk. I want someone that, like, if I don't do my admin, he will do it. If I'm out all day, he can speak to clients. He will make sure the system has got everything saved in there. He knows how to talk to me, where he's, come on, Martin, you step up and do this. We have that good relationship. So he will be that stabilizing kind of security for me. At the same time, he's a very experienced guy, and the fact he's joined me is another bit like the clients, but they're going to come. He's leaving a massive company that he's been at 10 years to come and join me. That's been training for 1 year. So there's a little bit of overconfidence in that sense as well.
Fabulous. So I'd love to talk a little bit more about escaping the corporate world. We touched a little bit on it before, but last time we spoke, it must have been about 12 months ago, wasn't it? You were pretty vocal about wanting to leave behind the corporate world of broking. What was it that pushed you, just to remind any of the listeners who haven't listened to that, what was it, the reason, very quickly, why you made that?
Say quickly, I try and answer as quickly as I can. Your destiny and your control is out of your hands in simple matters.
Yeah.
No matter how high it's almost like a fake reality. Now I'm out of it. That you get promoted, you do really well, and then you get promoted and you get a nice job title, then you get promoted and get another job title. And you think you're actually making a change in the company, but the reality is you are zero in the grand scheme of billion-pound insurance brokers. They couldn't care less what I'm doing in Milton Keynes. And when you realise that, it's a bit sad as in a way, because you thought you're part of something big, but the reality is they're like, I don't care. Not one little bit. And that reality is I cannot control what I want to do here.
Yeah.
And you have to follow what you're told. If you're not happy to follow what you're told, you have a really tough decision. You either swallow your pride and
get on with it,
which a lot of people do, get their wage and have a nice pension, or you stand up for what you believe. And unfortunately, that the corporate world's not for you.
So 15 months, you've been outside it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we talked about the independence and the way you're running your business is different, that community feel. But how else does it feel different from what life was like before?
There's so much wasted hours in a corporate world that does not produce income, has no benefits to the clients, and it's purely an internal drain on your resource. Not only that, it's an internal drain mentally that I feel way more energized, motivated. I'm not sitting in meetings that drag on for 3 hours about things that a lot of the times quite depressing. A lot of the times it's not positive. You come out of it thinking, what a waste of time, but I don't really feel very motivated to go and do my job either. So it has double negative. That's a massive refreshment.
Look, this is a sweeping statement and you can only really speak for yourself here, but do you think people in the corporate broking world really underestimate what's actually possible once you step away?
I think I alluded to it in the last question. I think once you see the lie, your whole perception of what the corporate world is changes. Kind of all falls down as a little bit like, a house of cards. As you believe it when you're in it, when you step out of it, you realise actually it doesn't exist. And if you're a really good insurance broker, you're still a really good insurance broker when you're an independent. And back to the point, people will trust you. And there's a lot of really good people in the corporate world that are probably running at 50% of what they could do, but they know that 50% is better than.
Yeah.
They don't need to. And it's. I guess pros and cons to that, but it'll never be me. I'd rather still be pushing myself at 60 than just settling.
Now, I hate for you to be quoted on this if something happens in the future, but could you see yourself ever going back to work for the corporate broking space?
No. I can't see, and you talk about, obviously the broking world will always be acquisition-led, so it's a massive part of the industry, but I can't see how people do it. Other than money, from going to building something that is so personal to you, to selling it to the corporate world where it goes, it disappears.
And I suppose looking at the support you've had from Momentum, how has your relationship with Momentum made it possible to get to where you are at the moment?
I think the biggest thing is I very quickly learned that obviously Momentum are on my side. I spent a lot of time having arguments with insurers when I was direct. That doesn't exist now. So everyone, in reality, is on my side. So the team of Momentum are there to help me. If they want to fall out with insurers, that's up to them. I don't need to know about it. And it doesn't, I say this is what I want. How they do that is kind of, that's why they're there. And the team has been fantastic. They understand a lot of the challenges. And I understand a lot of the challenges in the insurance world. It's not going to change. It's not going to be easy. But that partnership is what makes the difference where they're on my side.
And thinking it wider, broking's one aspect of it, which to be fair, you did a lot of your placement before, and obviously they've taken it away from you, which to be fair, correct me if I'm wrong, has been absolute benefit.
Absolutely, yeah, I love that idea. Yeah, it's another thing that I guess a lot of people are sceptical of is you're taking away my insurer relations, you're taking away my broking. Yeah, I don't miss it.
Maybe that's got something to do with your relationship with insurers, Martin, but maybe not. But yeah,
underwriters,
yeah. And obviously it comes with frustrations. But thinking wider about the Momentum support, what is it that Momentum has done well for you? What is the bits which maybe don't come into or aren't in your face day to day, but have enabled you to get to where you are now?
Yeah, I think that now looking at the next stage of what Momentum can do is the added benefit of Momentum. You mentioned the conference, you're one of over 100 brokers where that brings collaboration. And if you are thinking it's me on my own, you go to a conference and there's 200 or 300 people there, you realise you're not on your own. The other part is the marketing, the compliance, the accounts. I know there's a lot of exciting things in the pipeline for Momentum coming out for marketing. And I think that will be the stage in the future where, I've exhausted the sales plan, I've done everything I can. It's like, what's the next step? And that's where Momentum will come in to go, how about this? How about doing marketing, acquisition, staff? There's a lot of other things that are probably further down the line for me.
And look, we've had those conversations with yourself and Dean around the future. And one of the things which a lot of people struggle with, and when I just think broken network as a whole, is it's not just about a network as such. It's having someone behind you so you can feel pretty courageous or brave around what your next step is, isn't it?
Absolutely. You never know what's around the corner. And I like that uncertainty as well, that someone could contact me today and go, look, we've got this business for sale, or a member of staff wants to join. I don't want to be in a position where I can't explore it, and I think that's where I can pick up the phone to you, Momentum, and say, look, what do you think about this? It could be a non-starter, but having that ability to at least explore things that would never cross your mind otherwise is massively important.
And look, when we very first met, we talked around providing some funding support, and we did just that. We provided some funding support for Aureum to get yourself going. From recollection, it wasn't critical, was it? But it provided a massive boost in regards to your confidence about making this work.
That's it. It's one of those uncertainties that you don't want nagging in the back of your head as whether you can pay your mortgage this month. And having that taken away, still obviously work and it's still there, but having that taken away in the first 6 months, we can just focus on, let's go and win new business. Whether you need it or don't need it, it's there, and it just gives you that comfort. And without it, probably it would have been a different journey, I think. I think it would have been more challenging. It would have been a bit more stressful. If you're looking at thinking, running out of money this month, it would have been difficult. So having that there was hugely important.
And I suppose, realistically, you could have done it without the funding.
Yeah. I think it's...
But it's a different mindset, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I think there would have been tough months. There would have probably been short months. There would have probably been good months. And it's that fluctuation. And you don't mind it, but when it comes to paying your bills, you can't really have it. It comes with its own challenges. You can't call your mortgage company up and say, can I pay half this month because I've had a bad month? It comes with stress that you don't need.
Well, let's look ahead. I mean, obviously, covenants are gone now. Your clients have voted with their feet and obviously come to see you. You've got your first employee nearly joining you. What's the next big steps and goals, or have you got a bit to focus on first?
No, so I think year 2 has always been about bedding my clients, bedding new member of staff, and kind of have a stable year. There's still going to be a lot of growth, but it's going to be selective growth and natural growth, and probably not at the same steep curve as it has been. Getting a new guy out to do a lot of the stuff that I can't do, so he won't just be sitting in the office, he'll be out, he'll be producing as well. So depending on where that looks will probably depend on the next step, and that could be sooner, that could be later, but ideally at the end of year 2 we'll be in a good place, and I think the next recruit or the next choice will be quite critical as to what we do after that.
Might be quite a difficult question to ask, but what you're here 15 months in. What feels possible that maybe didn't 12 months ago or 15 months ago?
I think there's a lot. There's a lot. I look at things now. Probably this comes from me. Is you're used to thinking a certain way about, well, I'm going to do this much business, and it's quite narrow thinking. Whereas now I don't want to be narrow thinking, and that's probably where Dean comes in. That's where you guys come in and go, well, have you thought about running a brokerage in the City of London or Manchester? No, I haven't. Never thought about that. But if the opportunity was there, why don't we talk about it? And apprentices and staff, you're going to have to grow through staff at some point. How do we do that? Whether it's experienced people and take a risk, or bring in apprentices and train them from day one, give them access to the finance guys, and give them a future. So there's a lot of questions. At the moment, I don't know the answer to, if I'm honest, but I like that.
Yeah, brilliant. I think it's a fantastic place to be. One of the things I like to do with these podcasts is make sure there's plenty of takeaways and advice for people who are potentially thinking about taking the same route that you have. Everybody's got a reason why they don't start a brokerage. Now, typically, interesting enough, I was speaking to a guy in the car literally just before I walked upstairs to do this, and he was talking about the two big things for him were around finance, a little bit of uncertainty around his clients following. That's fairly typical, but if you think about all those fears you had 15, 18 months ago when you made the decision to do this, how many of those have actually come to fruition?
None. None is the answer. I think you've got to trust yourself. And I think what the biggest thing, if you sum it up, is fear and the uncertainty. But you back yourself to trust that you know the job. I mean, I would be very nervous if you've been doing this for 1 or 2 years and you haven't got a loyal client bank and you don't know the industry that well. Running an insurance broker is not for someone to dabble in my opinion. You've got to be proven to an extent of clients trust you. That's the first thing. Trust, and then trust yourself that you know what you're doing. Qualifications, obviously, I know most people now are CII to some degree. If you've got the fundamentals in place, trust in momentum, trust in yourself and your abilities, I think you'll have a successful business relatively easily, very quickly. If you do the fundamentals, it's the next stage. For me, that's the thing that I think a lot of people don't think is, what do we do next year? What do we do the year after that?
And I suppose if you look, without going into the individual numbers here, Martin, but if you look at where you are financially as an individual, forgetting the business for a second, I'm guessing you're not earning anywhere near what you were previously at your previous employer.
Correct.
But you can see it happening pretty quickly now. Covenants have expired and the income's starting to fly through the door.
I think the other thing that you never taught as well is when you are self-employed or a director, the basis of remuneration is completely different.
Yeah.
And what the quality of life and what can be, and obviously I'm going to get an accountant is my advice, but you don't live in the same way as PAYE, you're taxed at source, and that comes with a lot of freedom, and I recommend people educate themselves as to what you can and can't do. Speak to a financial advisor, speak to an accountant, that whilst you may be earning less, far better off than you ever were. As soon as you start earning the sort of numbers, 80, 100 grand as an account exec, half of it's tax. So you're not earning that in the slightest, whereas you can earn that if you're self-employed and structured in the right way.
But fast forward to 24 months and seeing where the business is, and there, I can imagine the financial situation changes dramatically.
It does if I want to. I think there's a limit. Obviously, again, there's caps on what you can and can't do, and dividends, the amount of tax you pay. If you're comfortable at the lower level, you don't need to earn loads of money. You keep that money in the business, and that's there to grow. You don't need to have. You say you don't need to earn so much more money. It's not going to change anything. I'd rather the money stays in the business. So then, what can I do in the future? Self-fund.
That must feel like a very foreign thing to say from where you were 18 months ago.
You think you live by your salary, your bonus, and all the rest of it, and it'd be nice to sit here and go, I want to pay myself a bonus. And you think, well, why would I need to pay? I don't need to. And I don't mean that because I've got so much money. I mean that you want the bonus because you earned it in your last place, and they've put a rules around you. So if you do all this, we'll pay you the bonus. You think, well, I've done all that. I want the bonus out of principle. Whether you need it or want it, you just do it out of the fact that it's there. Now I look at financial planning more. Pensions. Can I say bring in new staff? There's a lot of other things to do with that money other than myself. It's actually more rewarding.
But fundamentally, you're building an asset for the future, which is going to pay dividends in more ways.
Exactly. And that's what my accountant said to me. He goes, the best advice I can give you is your business is your future. Invest in that.
Makes a lot of sense. Look, we wanted to focus on some advice for people who are starting, as I touched on before. So what would you say to someone who is right now thinking about starting their own brokerage with a year, 15 months experience behind you?
I think number one is get your house in order personally. Because I think as much as people believe they need to earn £5 grand a month, the reality is they may not need to earn that. So look at what do you actually need to pay to live the life you live in without being exuberant. Get that number right, so you're happy and you can financially project. If I earn this much a month, am I still okay? Yes. Start planning your clients now. Which clients do you want? Which clients do you think would come? What would be your sales plan for new business in the first year? I think if you get those three things in order, momentum will take care of all the other things that are probably on your mind about compliance and insurers and actuaries and all those other things, training. Momentum can take care of all of that. If you focus on those three core areas, yourself, your clients, and your new business, I think if you've got that in order, you're in a great place.
And if you look at the new business income that you've created as Aureum Insurance in that first 12 months, would that be on par with what you created previously when you were employed by a corporate?
Without sounding blowing smoke up my own arse, it's the most I've ever done in 1 year from a zero
fabulous.
start.
Yeah.
And again, I put that down to a little bit. You got a target. Wherever you work, you got a target, and you kind of think, as long as I'm close to that target, I'm all right. I didn't have a target other than I wanted to do more than I've ever done. So I exceeded that in year one, pure new business. Now in year one, there may be some clients that don't renew, there may be some one-offs in there, but you take it all in year one.
Yeah.
Year two, a bit more strategic.
And thinking about that from a funding perspective, because one of the things you always hear is, well, I'm on a 50 grand salary, so therefore I need 4 grand a week, 4 grand, well, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? 4 grand a month income to come into the household to enable me to survive that first 12 months. Well, the reality is you haven't got that distraction of the renewal book. You are focused purely on new business. If you're a self-starter, you will find that new business. And the reality is the gap between what you need and what you actually get is actually not a massive differential, is it?
No, and when you build that number, I think that's the thing, is you look at it and go, right, well, if I did this, how much would I need here? And if I save that, how much would I need there? And you can very quickly close that gap. I'll be amazed if there's an account exec that's experienced that cannot do 2 grand a month new business. I'd be amazed if they can't. I mean, it's probably not for them. You should be budgeting. I've always worked on 5 grand a month target. I think most brokers work on 4 grand a month. You should be able to do that without really reinventing the wheel.
I think the reality is, when you look at that first year of trading, I think this is what I've seen time and time again with 100 odd people I've personally been involved in starting up, is you have to be self-motivated.
That's it.
Yeah, you can't expect it just to flow through the door. So you have to try different things. Some of those things might not work, but that's okay. It's
Exactly.
okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
And look, the facts are, look, with the wonderful world of the internet as it is, you can create so many opportunities without spending a penny, can't you? If you just start exploring, investigating, using the resources like LinkedIn, networking events, etc.
That's what I always say to people. If you're thinking of all the jobs out there in insurance, is one of those things that pretty much every company will have, and you have a 1 in 12 chance it's due for renewal soon.
Yeah.
So if you look at those numbers, you're not selling £1 million software that one person may buy a year. These people will buy this product. You've just got to be there at the right time, and that's pure numbers. Try calling, try emailing, try going to networking, try LinkedIn. There's a million ways you can do it.
And you've got people, I suppose, who'll see the soft market, well, people aren't going to move, or are they going to move? I think the soft market creates challenges and opportunities just like the hard market, to be fair.
And I think for the independent broker, the soft market is absolute music to my ears. I mean, yes, you're going to take a hit on premiums, but the reality is, in the corporate world, which are heavily equity backed, is they have really, really challenging growth targets. So every client, they need to grow their income. Now, you can only grow your income by either the company doing well, moving insurers for more commissions, selling them more products, whichever way they try and dress it up. The reality is, if the market rate is less and they don't do the best thing for the client, it's a huge opportunity for independent brokers to go in there where you don't have to earn that level of income, where you've not got those targets over your head where you've got to grow it by 10%. And some of the wins I've had this year have been exactly that, where the market rates, what they've been offered, is so far.
Yeah, great opportunities. Last question you'll be pleased to hear. What's the big one thing? If you've got someone sitting there, I don't know where people listen to this, maybe someone will tell me it's in their car, or maybe it's at home, I don't know. But for someone listening to this right now, dreaming of going independent, and that they tell you, I feel it's too hard, or that nagging doubt is just sitting there going, it's not for you. What's your advice?
You'll never know unless you try, is my advice. Is you will look back and regret it. I think the way the world's going, the way the economy is going, is now is the best opportunity, the current climate, to break the corporate world. There's no independent brokers anywhere. The equity backs is pushing brokers to put their premiums up more than they need to. Now's the time. I think all the regulations is set in stone. I don't think you're going to get any new, real onerous regulation come in. Momentum take care of that anyway. So I think if you don't, you regret it. But now's the best time than I've ever known to do it.
Brilliant. Thank you, Martin. That's absolutely superb.
Not a problem.
Really appreciate your view.
Thank you.
That's it for this episode of Momentum Meets. Huge thanks to Martin for sharing his journey with us, the highs, the hurdles, and everything in between. It's a brilliant example of how independent brokers are reshaping this industry with a fresh mindset and a clear sense of purpose. Stories like Martin show that it's not just possible, it's doable for anyone with the right mindset, a solid plan, and the right support in your corner. That's exactly what Momentum is here for. If you're inspired by the story and considering your own next steps, get in touch with me by following the link in the show notes. If you're listening on podcasts, brilliant to have you follow us. Please do so by clicking the link wherever you watch your podcast. How was it, Martin? Really? Was it that bad? Was it bad? On a scale 1 to 10?
Brilliant. I mean, you get more of a pro, you get more of a television presenter every time I see you.
Definitely a face for radio, as they say, yeah? Jerry, thank you very much. It's been an absolute
Always
bloody
a pleasure.
start. But yeah, let's go get lunch.
Sounds good. Cheers, Alistair.